Good evening. It is middle-aged gamer guy here, and this is our first ever live talk show all about gaming. And this is a massive experiment for us, so hopefully this will be very good. I have with me, I co-host this week is a very capable friend of mine for probably nearly about 36 years, I think. I'm going to bring him into the stream. Please welcome our co-host for this evening, Mr. David Jones. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we are going to be talking about, let's get this up so you can see everything we're going to be talking about. We are going to be talking about everything to do with Xbox Series X this evening. So we're going to be talking about the console itself, the fact that it released last week, a number of the benefits that they've added, a number of things that Xbox haven't made that clear, and also a ton of games that have come out this week, which have come out also for PlayStation, but some are purely Xbox exclusives. Now, Dave is more than qualified to be my co-host on this, mainly because I've known him for donkey's years, and ever since I've known him since I was about that big, he's probably owned every games console under the sun. Isn't that correct, Dave?
I'll try to get most of them, mate.
It's one of those things where he's literally got everything, and you were very lucky to get a Series X, weren't you?
I was indeed, mate. Turned up midday on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Been playing quite a bit of it. It's good. I like it.
It's good. I've seen a lot of people who've been very disappointed, and we are going to come on to that a little bit later on because they might be even more disappointed as a news story broke yesterday, which we'll talk about. But the idea of this chat show is to basically talk about everything gaming related that's happened in the last 7 days. So next week, just to give you an idea, if you're thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, they're only going to talk about Xbox. Next week, we're dedicating the show to everything PS5 because that comes out on Thursday, and I believe yours is probably turning up on Thursday, Dave. Is that correct?
It certainly should be, mate. I've had the email saying it's coming. So, yeah, right. Fingers crossed.
Be one of those lucky few. And it'll be interesting to see how they have any issues and stuff, which we'll discuss. But we'll crack straight on. Every week we are going to have a guest on the show. And this week we have got, if anyone who watches or tunes in, watches our Wednesday night Sea of Thieves streams, we have got the very one and only Mr. Captain Chris. It is Chris Davis. Welcome to our show this evening.
Hi, how's it going?
Very good, very good. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Now, Chris, you're a very big gaming fan and fanatic. Tell us about your history of gaming in a brief minute or so.
Brief minute. Okay,
yeah.
It started way back on Commodore 64. And and then every console since then I've been able to get hold of. And I still have.
Is there one you've ever missed? Or have you literally managed to get hold of all and build Dave?
Well, Neo Geo. But
right.
I'm collecting MVS now, which is the arcade equivalent. So,
okay, so
getting my own back.
You've managed to kind of go, oh, I missed that one, but now I'm getting that back.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now you've got some money to afford it. That was the expensive one back in the day.
A bit pricey, that one.
That's what you want, isn't it? Right, gentlemen, should we kick this show off officially? Should we talk about some games? We're going to break this up with news stories and games for people who are watching. We'll talk about it. We'll start with a couple of games that are coming out. Some of these games we'll know a lot about, some we won't, but that's all part of the discussion. If you are in the chat, please do say hi. If you've got any questions for us, chuck it all in. We will do a highlights video on YouTube, but it'll probably cut out about all the content because I can't be bothered editing it. I'll just do one massive chop in the middle or something like that. So this is the best place to watch all the stuff. So let's start first with obviously one of the big games that came out this week, which is obviously Call of Duty, which was the Black Ops Cold War. Are you guys big? I'm not a big Call of Duty fan. Are you guys?
No, I played quite a few of the early ones. Stopped after, I think, World at War. Then last year I had a quick go at what's the World War II one they brought out.
Oh yeah.
I was late to the party for that one, but I had a go at that. That was pretty good.
What about yourself, Chris?
Yeah, I've pretty much got them all. I really enjoy the story mode, and I do play a lot of the multiplayer, but obviously if you come in late, all those young kids, they just They just get you with a powered-up weapon.
Just raging at you. This one's been interesting. Before I play the trailer for it, there's been a lot of talk about the fact that they're going back to more realistic setting because they feel that the franchise lost its way a bit. And here we go. Oh, blimey, we're getting a raid to the channel already. So there you go. This is all right for a talk show. So I'll give him a shout out in a minute. We'll talk about this in a sec. So yeah, Call of Duty, it kind of lost its way. I think was it Infinite Warfare? It all went out in space and all a bit crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But then they've kind of got it back, as Dave was saying, with the World War II one, and this one seems more grounded. And we'll play the trailer before I say thank you to all these lovely people who are now coming into the chat. So I wasn't gonna go away this. Crusader, thank you so much for doing this. I caught your end of your show and your stream, and he has hit his 50 followers today. So a big shout out to Crusader and all the lovely people. Got Mia, Tommy, got Governor coming in. Who else we got? I've got to go through all these. Bards is in. Loads of people. So thank you so much for joining us for this, because this is a brand new thing. So if you've got any questions, guys, please chuck them in. We're going to talk about all things gaming. But let's get the trailer. I'm going to get the trailer up for the new Call of Duty, and then we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about our next game before going into an in-depth thing about what's been so great about the new Series X and what hasn't. So here we go. We'll just get this ready. Let's get this going. So this is going to be Call of Duty, folks. So hopefully you can all see this. Let's give this a whirl. Let's look at the trailer for the new Call of Duty game.
This war was a lie. Years of blood. Just to light the fuse of a secret war. Decades in the making.
My fellow Americans, a nuclear conflict could well be mankind's last. We want to make this a more peaceful world.
5 days ago, we acquired intel. The Soviet agent Perseus is in play. If he's active, something big is gonna happen. Something that could shift the balance of the Cold War.
Let's go find this shithead.
Mr. President, is the threat real?
Yes, sir, we believe it is.
Give Mr. Adler whatever he wants.
This wasn't part of the plan!
I know you won't fail us.
Pre-order a digital copy.
Okay, so that was the trailer for the new Call of Duty. First thoughts, obviously, guys, especially if Chris, you're big on Call of Duty.
I'm excited about it. Yeah, I can't wait till it comes out. It looks
You think
pretty good to me.
you think they're going to hit their stride with this? Then they're going to get back to what the game was about.
Yeah, I reckon so. And it's quite a good era they're going for there, I imagine.
Yeah, Dave, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, it's a subtle trailer, isn't it?
Just one of them. Quite.
Oh,
subtle.
yeah. It looks really good, I think. I haven't played one for a while. I haven't had interest in the Modern Warfare one, but this one, it looks interesting. It's like a cool story.
Yeah, this is. I have to say, from the actual campaign, this has actually got me interested. I very rarely play any Call of Duty games, and it's interesting to see that this is probably the one that's most interesting. they said that one of the most interesting levels is a level where you don't actually shoot anybody, and that you actually infiltrate a base and you have to sneak in and do tasks, and there's all this other stuff. You know, it's it seems quite interesting. There's also things where you have to go, like, you know, there's games where there's secret items, and like you have to collect 100 of them, and then you'll get an achievement, and that's it, or a trophy. This, if you collect these things, it helps you solve puzzles, which will unlock more levels. So it's almost like making you go and find this stuff, which I think is a very interesting. What do you guys think about that?
It's an improvement from the usual collectathon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the problems with Call of Duty. It's very much on rails, isn't it? So they need to compete with the Battlefronts and the Battlefield.
Yeah. I don't know how the multiplayer fares. All I've seen so far is basically reviews for the main campaign. Interestingly, though, it's getting on the average about 7 out of 10, which isn't, well, it's still good. I know why people go, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, that's trash. It's not. That's good. It just means it's not excellent.
Yeah, but when you're talking AAA game, and you know, next gen, and it's one of the main games out. Let's face it, Halo's not out.
We're all still licking our wounds about that one, aren't we?
Yeah,
I'm not. I'll make it quite clear I'm not a fan of the Halo games, but these guys are, and they're going to give me loads of shit for it, but I don't care. But yeah, it's interesting. I'll be interested to see how the multiplayer does. As Tommy said on the chat, the zombie mode is supposed to be good, and I know that appeals to a lot of people. I would probably play that if you could buy it separately from the other franchise games. Tommy had a question saying, and this will go for both Dave, really, I guess. Any thoughts on the PS4 exclusive stuff for Call of Duty? He says it's very frustrating. So I'm guessing there's a load of
what we've read about it, it does sound a bit unfair, doesn't it? It does sound like you're getting a lot more on the PlayStation side, getting things that help you level up quicker.
But
so people are going to be getting access to things faster. They're doing the cross-play.
Anyway, so
they've done things where DLC's launched earlier on the PlayStation, haven't they? I don't think they've done one like this where items or you get XP building up quicker for the PlayStation players. I think that's new for this one.
I suppose really, as you were saying, Chris, if you're in the dark for a few weeks or a few months and you haven't played it, you'd be at a disadvantage. But I guess that'd be even more so with the PlayStation stuff, I guess.
But I think they're not cross-platforms for the online.
That I'm aware of.
It's cross-play for the online, if memory serves.
Yeah.
Yeah, Xbox could play against PS4 players. That's where the problem comes into it, because the PS4 players just getting the XP quicker, getting stuff unlocked quicker. Got these poor Xbox players, they're just getting owned.
That's a bit naughty. That might put some people off.
Yeah, there's been a few moans about that, I've seen.
Okay, well, we'll see how it fares. I will look out for reviews and stuff, and we'll probably come back and talk about the Call of Duty thing. I'm conscious there's so much stuff. We're going to move on to our next game before we move on to talking about the Xbox as a whole. So we're going to move on to a game which fascinates me, and again is part of the series. And this one is Yakauza Like a Dragon. So let's go. I think we'll go for the trailer again. I'll show this off, and we can have a chat about what we think. What we think about this game, because it's beyond belief. I have to say, you watch the trailer and you think, what the hell is going on with this?
Let's make it epic.
Growing up, all I ever wanted was to be a hero, just like the ones in my favorite video games.
Ichiban, why not become a hero at 40, right? Cheers! The Dragon Slayer!
Turns out, all a hero needs is a quest. I finally found mine, and I'm going to play it my way. They say the city is too wild. Too big. Too mean to take on yourself. I say, with the right friends, anything's possible. And I mean anything. I summon you! What the? These are my friends. This is my quest. And we're about to rise to the top!
So there we go. Yakauza Like a Dragon, or as I call it, what the hell was that?
It looks delightfully nuts, doesn't it?
It does. I think that's what they've taken pride in with this series, because this is there's been a number of games in the Yakauza series. I did watch some gameplay for this morning, and it starts off like a typical fighting game, but I know they've changed a very big core mechanic, because this used to be like a beat 'em up kind of game, but with loads of other stuff going on in the world. Whereas now it's very, what's the best way to describe it? A bit like how an RPG works with a turn-based combat system, which is something new that they brought into it, which has changed things up. But you've still got all this madness. Like there's mini games where you can go karaoke, or as you see, like doing selfies, or bit where you have to go in a little bicycle and collect like trash cans, recycling, to earn money. It's absolutely nuts. Yeah. So what? Chris, you've played a lot of these games. You want to tell us?
No, I've not played these games. No, I've not.
Oh, you've not played these ones? Was it Assassin's Creed, which we'll come on to in a bit?
I was interested in it.
Yeah.
And now I've seen that trailer, I'm still interested, but it's nuts, doesn't it? It's just, I'm just reading some of the comments on the side where they say that the story's pretty, straight, but then you've got the side mission that's a bit bonkers. So, sounds good.
It looks good. Some of the special moves, like I think you build up a crew so that you can then do more turn-based combat. If you think like South Park games with the turn-based, you get so many people. And like the first guy you team up with is a homeless guy who can basically summon pigeons. He throws a load of birds in it, and the pigeons come and kick the crap out of the enemies. I mean, it's just magic. Like someone's got a phone and whirls it around their head and twats them with the phone. So
well, it keeps it interesting, doesn't it?
It does. It's got me. Yakauza 0 is free on Game Pass, and now after seeing that, I might actually give that a whirl, just to see, like, dip my toe in the water.
Yeah.
So
I might do.
Be worth. Average reviews coming out between 7 out of 10 again and 9 out of 10, interestingly, across the board from different, basically gaming websites. So some are like, oh, this is amazing, and some have said, actually, it gets a bit samey after a while because of the turn-based content, and it seems a bit of a grind. But they still said it's that much fun because you make of the game what you will. Any other comments on that? Or have we just stunned everyone into silence with that insaneness?
Over to you, Dave.
I think it's one to have a look at, isn't it? As you say, it just looks crazy but fun. Which is what we want at the moment, a good bit of fun. Get rid of all the seriousness. I think it's just got some good comedy value.
See, we were talking about the AAA games that are coming out. This year, let's be honest, because of everything that's happened, normally this season, the run-up from September till the end of November is a big run-up of games. And there have been some big games come out over the weeks, but this seems quite less than what we're normally used to. Yeah. And it just seems that this week seems to be one of the most important weeks because there's that many games that have come out this week. But it's funny how Xbox were really... I mean, that trailer was actually from the Xbox channel. So thank you to Xbox for you letting me use that. But that they were really pushing this game as well. I think that Dirt 5, which I know you've got, Chris.
Yeah.
And something... obviously Assassin's Creed. We've been like the three main things they're really pushing. So it'll be interesting to see how that fares as a game. So we will move on. We will move on to some more. We'll come back to some more games. We're going to talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the Destiny, new Tetris, and a number of other games as we go on throughout the show. And thank you to everyone who's commenting. We're going to talk about one of the main things, the topics of tonight, which is actually about everything to do with the Xbox Series X. So it came out last week. People were reviewing it the week before. Generally, the reviews, on average, again, I've to go through all these different gaming sites and make a review. They give the Xbox Series X, I'm not going to talk about the S, because it exists, it does its job. But let's focus on the main console. Generally getting 8 out of 10s across the board on average, which is good. Do we think, and we'll get into a further discussion of which is better in a couple of weeks, do we think that Microsoft might have actually cracked it and made, rather than being the hype of, this is the best Xbox we've ever made, they may have actually made the best Xbox and it is actually a decent contender to take on PlayStation?
From what I've found of it so far, mate, it is very nice. It's a shame there weren't more exclusive games out for it.
Yeah.
But from going from the One X to the Series X, it's just the speed of the thing that you really notice. It's been really nice. I flicked on Forza Horizon the other day. That's had an update to it. A 65 gig update to wait for. We're getting used to waiting for these things, but that is running at 4K, 60 frames a second now, and it's just beautiful to behold.
Yeah.
Everything loads up quicker. It's just little things like when you change your car. I don't know if you've played it before in the older consoles.
Yeah.
Change your car, sit around waiting for, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute, whatever, it goes on way too long. This one, very quick, brief loading screen, bang, it's there. How it should have been in the first place.
Chris, what about your thoughts? Because you've got your Series X.
Funny enough, I've been playing Forza as well. And exactly the same thing. As you know, Sea of Thieves has improved it no end.
Oh, yeah. We were waiting for Paul the other day, weren't we?
Yeah. So
we loaded in. It was about a week later.
I'm going to say, obviously, tomorrow night I'm on with these guys doing Sea of Thieves. Plug. Check us out. We're on at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. But if you want to go back on the YouTube channel, I put up the video a couple of days from last Wednesday, and we did a count of how long it took to get a mermaid to get back on the ship between these guys and me. And it took me, I literally counted, I left this in the video, I was going to edit it out, but I left it in because it's actually quite, 50 seconds it took me to get, well, these guys, it took about less than 3 or 4 seconds.
I'd say like 1 or 2 seconds. It's really
It's insane. And there's just this video of me counting, going 1, 2, 3, 4, and it just proves the point how much better it obviously is. Tommy here said that that Series X is like a mid-high end PC, which is awesome. It is. They really have built it up to be. Let's talk about some of the other things that are really going in its favour. Yes, we've talked about the fact there is no exclusives, but we'll come on to a bit of other stuff about that. The fact that it's, some of the main core things, you can use your original Xbox controllers with it, even though the new controller apparently is far superior and feels better. I mean, how do you guys feel with that? I mean, they haven't really changed much.
It just feels like a nice iteration. It's already a good design, wasn't it? They didn't really have to change too much. But yeah, it's just got that nicer feel to it. Grippier on the back, on the triggers. Yeah, nice upgrade.
Yeah, I think it's really nice on the controller. And it's funny, I was actually saying to someone today, like, I'm thinking about getting rid of the Xbox One because what's the point in keeping it now? It's the Xbox Series X is totally backwards compatible, plays the games better. What has it got that I can't do with the X now? So I might as well just sell it. I never sell my system.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing though. But you used to keep your systems because you couldn't play the older games on the newer one. But now the Xbox, you can just go back through pretty much everything, isn't it? There'll be some things that you can't play, but the majority of the 360 or the original Xbox stuff,
well,
it'll run on there.
There's the original Xbox as well. They're now doing about technically 3 generations of Xbox is what you can get, and that was mentioned in the comments. We already knew that backwards compatibility was pretty damn good when they brought it to the Xbox One, but now that's going to be something so much better, and they're going to continue. I know they kind of stopped it for the last year. They said, right, that's it. We're not doing any more backwards compat games because we're focusing on this. But their commitment was when they start back, they're going to start doing it again, which is we're going to see probably over the next couple of months more and more games getting added to that library, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Another big factor which comes into it is how Game Pass has become basically like this phenomenon. Like, I know PlayStation have got their thing, But Game Pass, when it came out, it didn't seem anything special. There was not really many titles on it. It was no offense to indie games, it was a lot of indie games and stuff, and a few exclusives. Now it's just become this biggest thing that gets lots of games, especially on day of release, and that's a massive selling point. And for something like Ultimate, which is the equivalent of £12 a month, where you can basically get your games with gold, which I believe they are going to continue, even though they're going to technically knock live on the head, as it were. You get all those games that are in that category, in that library, plus you could play them on your PC as well. It's all included, and I don't think there's anything that can touch that.
You can stream them to your Android device as well.
Yeah, the cloud.
Maybe
gaming.
one day iOS, but
well, they are working on it, I believe. I don't know whether that's true. I've heard rumours they are working on something, but I gave it a whirl a couple of months ago, and to be able to play on and I'm not going to lie, this is an old Samsung phone. I was playing Sea of Thieves on this. I kid you not. It worked fine. I could not believe it. I was really impressed. And I know it's still in beta, but it works really, really well. So
how was the loading from the mermaid to the ship on that then?
I should try that. I haven't tried.
Depends on your mobile network.
That's it. Do you know what? We'll put that on. No, we're not going to do that on tomorrow night's stream. I'll probably be there for 15 minutes counting. How to lose all your followers on Twitch and want to go watch me count for 15 minutes. We'll see. There is selected games at the moment, but I know they're adding to that library, and I know they're planning to add more. So that's a massive advantage. I'm just trying to think of other things. I'm not going to try. I'm going to touch on some other bits and pieces with the news story, so I don't want to delve into too much of the pros and cons. But is there anything else that you can think regards to like the tech specs? Because at the moment, the averaging it is saying that tech-wise, the Xbox is slightly nudging above the PlayStation for what it can do, which again gives it a win. But then I
think it gets slightly higher on the graphics, doesn't it? I forgot what the term is now, but the graphics is, I think, it's slightly higher.
Yeah, and a slightly bigger hard drive as well. The teraflops and a bigger hard drive.
Yeah.
That's been an issue with PlayStation, but again, we'll talk about that next week.
It'll be an issue on the Xbox because it's only 150-ish gig more probably.
Well, yeah, it's supposed to be a terabyte, but when you've got the operating system and everything, it knocks it down to 820.
About 850, I think.
850.
I think it's something like that. And the PlayStation, you get 625.
Yeah.
Which ain't much when you think about how big these games are becoming now.
I wasn't going to mention it, but it was someone worked this out. If you bought 6 of the main titles, like the new Spider-Man for PlayStation, you got the Call of Duty, you got Yakauza, you got Assassin's Creed, you could only fit 6 games on the console before you start needing to delete stuff. That doesn't sit well, especially with the fact that the SSD thing isn't great. Now you can get these SSD cards, and we'll talk. This is one thing that I think is quite bad, and Chris brought this up in conversation this week. A decent SSD Seagate drive is going for about £220. Is that right?
On Amazon, yeah.
Yeah,
that's about right.
It's really
but that's not
expensive.
much difference in the PC versions of that generation of NVMe.
It probably will come down in price, but you're looking at a good 6 to 8 months before that does happen. The only advantage it has got over the PS5 at the moment is that you can get your external hard drive from your Xbox One, attach it to that, and you can shift games over very quickly. I believe so. I could get Sea of Thieves and shift it over, and then it'll run a lot better. So
I believe so. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, if you want, with what I think the problem they got with PlayStation at the moment, I'm sure they'll rectify this. I'm not trying to bash PlayStation completely. Is that at the moment, if you need to make space, you've got to delete stuff. With this, if you need to make space for it to run, you just shift it over to that external drive. So it's still there, so it's quite a quick process to go back and forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, that should be quite a cool thing.
I remember the last generation of PlayStation, they was a little bit slow on the external drives as well. They concentrated on changing the main drive, because I remember as soon as I got mine, the first thing I did was swapped out the main drive.
So that seems to be a recurring theme with them then? You'd think they'd learn. It seems to be that PlayStation haven't learned from their mistakes. I know they sound silly. Like, they've got a perfectly decent console on the PS4, but then they've made some of the same mistakes going over to PS5. Xbox made some massive mistakes with the Xbox One with a Kinect. It comes with it. It's always going to be on. It's going to watch you. And everyone went, sod the Xbox. And they had to backtrack on everything. This time they've gone, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the controller's only a slight adjustment to it. The dashboard is the same. There are some new elements to it. But it's basically, they know it works. They've refined it. So it's like, okay, this is familiar. So I've not got to spend ages learning something new. You know, it's an interesting point. Again, we'll cover this in another show, like the pros and cons, and see what comes up. And as I say, next week we are going to do a dedicated PlayStation show. Right, we will move on. We will move on to some more games. So we already mentioned about it. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This has been an interesting one because there's been a lot of hype over this. Many Assassin's Creed games in the past. And people were saying that this could be, as they always say, this could be the next, or best Assassin's Creed that they've got. So let's watch the trailer and then we'll talk about it, because I don't think it's actually met all the hype that it was supposed to. And this is courtesy of Ubisoft for this video.
You intrigue me, Wolf-Kissed. Orphan and sibling, warrior and poet. You are many in one, it seems.
Eivor!
Sigurd! I missed you, brother.
Randvi, your husband returns, bringing gifts and riches to share.
And new friends, I see.
We cannot stay in Norway, not without fueling more war. So we push forward. A new kingdom awaits.
From here to Valhalla, I will always be on your side, Sigurd. Always.
Eivor, Sigurd, I give you England.
This land already has many rulers. From the cunning King Alfred of Wessex to the warmongering sons of Ragnar Lothbrok, they have no wish to share the kingdoms they have made their own.
I do not fear these men, nor any others who would harm us. These lands bring our people hope. I will do whatever it takes to make England our home. The Saxons hunger for Norse blood. Let's give them a taste, brothers.
These conquests have given you a home, but there is more to this land, Eivor. A darkness unseen, an unknowable threat. One bound to England's destiny, and to yours.
So there you go. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So let's go to you guys. How many of the games have you played? Did you get bored of them? Do you think this is going to change everything for the series? Let's see your suggestion. Let's start with Chris.
Right, yeah, I've played a lot of them. I don't know if I played them all, but most of them. I was really looking forward to this, but then start hearing the negative feedback. I mean, one of my mates has got it, and he was saying that when you go in, he thought it was going to be more free roaming. There's certain areas he goes in, and you have to be like a much higher level, because otherwise you just get beaten up and dead, taken out. So, I don't know. Some people said maybe wait till it goes down. It's a good game, but whether it's a £40 game or £50 game, I'm not sure.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah.
What about your thoughts?
Well, I think like most of these sort of big open world games that come out, you're probably not worth jumping in them day one, are you? Because there's bound to be bugs in them. Yeah, they need a bit of time to bring out at least a day one patch, probably a few more patches to get it to a decent level. But I think it's just another iteration on what they've done for the past couple of games. Started off with Origins and then on Odyssey, moved it more to the RPG side. I liked the last one, Odyssey. Played quite a bit of that. I think last time I looked on the Xbox settings, I think I've done well over 24 hours on it. But I still hardly opened up anything on the map. There's an absolute ton of it to explore. And it's going to be the same with this one, isn't it? There's just going to be far too much there to do. Unless you've got all the free time in the world, you're probably just not going to get through much of it. Especially for stuff level locked as well.
I was going to say, we are in a lockdown, so that should probably give some people...
A lot of people hope to get through it this time. Maybe I'll go back to Odyssey and try and finish it. But one thing I did read about this one that sounded quite good is I think there are some options in the settings where you can make it a little similar in a way to some of the older games, where you can bring back more of the initial stealth kills on some of the enemies. I think it knocks some of the settings down to make things a bit easier, so it does do that. But it's have to sort of bring another option back for people who preferred the original games.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to jump back to Chris's comments. I'm well behind. I have not played an Assassin's Creed game since Black Flag. Ironically, I own all the games from that up to Syndicate, but haven't played them, and I haven't even bothered with the last couple because I'm that far behind. It's sad to say, but eventually, one day, I don't know when, I will get round to playing them. It's interesting to see that this game has been plagued with bugs, in a different way. That Ubisoft have got 2 bites of the cherry this month. Obviously, Watch Dogs Legion came out to some very good reviews a couple of weeks ago. But in the first weekend of it coming out, nearly everyone lost 12 hours of progress because their servers went down. And I know there was a lot of very annoyed people who put a lot of time into the opening weekend of that game and lost all their progress. This hasn't been as bad, but it seems there's been lots of infuriating bugs. There's been, from the lists I've seen, everything from the fact that you can't walk up staircases that exist. So there's a staircase and your character will get stuck. There's been bits where characters are floating around in air. There's been bits where boats are on the river and then they suddenly go and just blow apart, explode. Like they've gone fast forward and exploded. And there's bits with the stealth that's gone wrong. So you try and do your typical sort of parkour jumping and the controls are a bit more fiddly. So if you do something quite wrong, you can end up just blowing the whole fact that, you're supposed to be doing stealth. I think, unlike the other games, it doesn't punish you immediately for not going in stealthily. You can just go in all arms blazing and kicking in. But as you say, if you're not at the right level, you're going to get your ass kicked. But there's been a lot of issues over the first couple of days of it coming out. Yet what's interesting is the average scores across the board, because everyone goes, oh, there's all these bugs in these reviews, and both IGN, GameSpot, and a load of other ones reviewed it. Went, there's all these bugs in these games, but it didn't spoil for me. 8 out of 10. Now, all just giving it 8 out of 10 across the board. Yeah. Now, to me, if it's that buggy, wouldn't that cause issues? Because they're like saying, well, we've been playing it for 40 hours and it didn't spoil it, but they listed loads of things wrong with it. What's that about?
Well, I suppose a good game's a good game, isn't it? I mean...
True.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't lose your progress, it's not so bad.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose those bugs will get fixed. So anyone who might buy it in a week's time, 2 weeks' time, that might not happen. So if it is that good a game, they've said it ties into all the other story arcs, which you wouldn't think it does. I haven't got any spoilers, so don't worry about that. But they've said if you've played the other games, it will tie in quite nicely. But it kind of does feel like it's going back to the roots of some of the original games. As Dave's saying, you've got that option. So it could be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Should we move on to our next game, and then we'll move on to another bit?
I reckon so. Yeah.
So we're gonna talk now. Destiny 2, Beyond Light. So technically, it's not a new game, but it's quite a big expansion. I mean, Destiny 2 has been out for quite a few years now, but there's been a lot of talk of this expansion. I'll get the trailer up for this one. So we can all see this. Let's do that. And Here we go, folks. Just for you, here it is, Destiny 2.
The light and dark ready themselves for a new phase. So must we.
The day we've been dreading has finally arrived. The darkness is here. We are deploying Guardians to all corners of the system to find answers.
I'm picking up a distress signal. Someone's in trouble.
My friends, we are all in great danger.
The Vanguard only recognizes the light. Someone has to do the same for the dark. Stasis is just a tool. We must use it for good.
This power is a gift. One I will share with all of you. One by one, we will rise again.
Is only one truth: death.
You are not special. The darkness is mine!
There you go. Destiny 2 Beyond Light. I know nothing about Destiny games, so I'm going to hand it over to you guys.
Well, I skipped over the first one completely, but I did play some of the second one when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And good game. Good gunplay in it, because makers of Halo, so they know what they're doing with guns on there.
Yeah.
I lost track of it quite a while ago. I think one of the problems you'd have coming into this one now, they've locked away quite a lot of the original content. So you probably come into this and think, what the living hell's going on?
Yeah. So
but I'm going to have a look, see if it's good.
That's the thing. My understanding is that there's been a number of expansions over the years. So it's a game that they've really put a lot of time and effort and content back to the fans. But then I'm right in thinking they're bringing this out, and then they've, as you said, they've removed some of the stuff, not all of it, but some of the stuff from it. So do you think that means people are going to be at a disadvantage, or are they basically saying, hey, just come in and join this, it's not going to make any difference?
Probably if you want to follow the story, you'll probably be a bit of a disadvantage. But I'm sure you can probably find plenty of stuff online to bring you up to speed on it. Probably just going straight in, all guns blazing, it'll probably still be a good laugh.
Yeah.
It'll start you whatever the level cap is, and then you just carry on from there. I think I'm going to power it on, give it a go, see how it looks on the Series X.
Chris, your thoughts on this?
I'm definitely going to give it a go. I played the first one, but as you said, with the second one, because the expansion, I was never sure where to jump in. I keep thinking, I'll jump in later. So it's like, and then getting a bit confused about what, download and do. So I might just go for it, like Dave said, and see what it's like. Because it looks pretty good, and they're using Rolling Stones Painted Black for the trailer. How can you?
How can you go wrong with that? I was humming that all day, and I was like, they've done clever with that, using the Rolling Stones tune for that.
The one thing I will say with all these trailers, none of them's gameplay so far, and it's just like, what's the problem?
They never learn, do they?
It's interesting. The Yakauza one. Some of that was actually gameplay and bits. But you're right, Call of Duty only had a few bits in it. And this seems to be a recurring theme. Like when they announced the big Assassin's Creed Valhalla thing back in, I think it was August, gameplay trailer. It wasn't. It was a story trailer, and it wasn't.
It was blinking, you miss it. It was the same for the big shows for Xbox and then PlayStation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For both of them. It
Very
was,
misleading.
Cinematics to begin with.
PlayStation...
In-engine footage.
They probably
like
fared better on their conference because they did mix a bit. But there was that whole Xbox 1 hour big reveal show where I think only one of the games, and we're going to come on to talk about that a little bit later on, was only one game that showed footage and everything else was trailers. And then it was actually only 20 minutes of an hour show, and the last 40 minutes was just waffling. So that makes us look great, what we're doing here. So, but yeah, it's that common thing. That is supposed to be a gameplay trailer.
No.
Is it? All right. Okay. We'll move on to our next bit. All I'm going to say is, if you haven't checked out Destiny 2, I think Destiny 2 and a number of the expansions are on Game Pass. They literally added them about a month and a half ago, I think. So it's definitely worth checking out. And I know I'll give it a go because I've never played any of those. So a bit earlier we were talking about benefits of the new Xbox and some of the things that they brought in. And I think we'll touch on two things because Chris is with us for another 10-15 minutes or so. Actually, we might just squeeze in three things. Be very quick because one of them should only take a few minutes. One of the big things that happened, they announced this quite a while back, was the fact that EA Access, as it was called then, which is now called EA Play, was basically becoming part of Game Pass, Game Pass Ultimate. And for those who are not familiar with that, basically EA Play is a service like Game Pass where you only pay about £20 a year for their catalogue. It is mainly sports orientated games. I have used it and I've never unsubscribed from it. There are some good quality games on it. You got both the Titanfalls, a lot of the Need for Speed, but games, there's stuff like that. But they literally announced the fact that this was being merged into it. So anyone who had a subscription anyway was basically going to no longer have to pay that £20 a year, which is not a lot of money when you think about it. But also the fact that anyone who still had more than 2 months would gain extra days on Ultimate and claim that back. So your Ultimate membership was extended. And one of the big things, and I kind of called this last week, and I knew they would do it on the day that the Xbox came out. I said, I bet you, as soon as EA Play comes out, Jedi Fallen Order will land on that day because it's been a year since that come out. And just another plug, I'm streaming that Thursday night because, again, not played it, so come and check that out. But it just seemed like the right fit that they were going to bring that and all the games. So now Game Pass has just got a whole heap of stuff added to it for no extra cost. Let's talk about that.
Well, I literally just downloaded the Jedi Fallen Order last night. I haven't played it yet, but yeah, I mean, as you said, just for that one alone, it's worth it.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I'm quite pleased. I mean, the sports games, they're always a year behind, so that's a bit annoying. I do like my NFL.
Yeah.
And with like the NFL games, I'm sure it's the same for the other sports games. They follow the season as you go along.
Yeah.
So if you've got it a year late, it's outdated, it's irrelevant. But
yeah.
But yeah, the other games do look good.
Yeah. There is a couple of little benefits. I think there's one benefit that Game Pass doesn't do, which EA does do, is that the sports games, they are technically a year behind because what they tend to do is once a game's been out for a year, it gets added to that library.
Yeah.
Hence why it was quite easy for me to call and say, well, the Star Wars game's coming out because it was going to happen. But they do game trials. So I found that like with FIFA, NHL, all the new ones, sports games, you can get like a 10-hour demo to play. And then I think if you like it, just like Game Pass, like if you've got Game Pass and there's a game you like, you can buy it in the Microsoft store for cheaper than what you normally do. They do the same thing. So I guess that's kind of a compromise that you might go, I want the new one. I can play
they're not
for 10
going to
hours.
give away FIFA, are they? They make so much money on that game. Can you imagine?
They were only, if you think that Game Pass is Ultimate is £12 a month,
Yeah.
this was only £20 a year.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'd be, unless they were charging £20 a month, they'd be crazy to give that stuff away.
Yeah.
But yeah, So yeah, what do you think?
I'm not complaining. It comes with the Ultimate, so.
But do you think that what's interesting is, again, that might pull more people, especially the sports fans, to the Xbox, because the people on PlayStation are still going to have to pay that subscription fee if they want it.
Mm. It's an extra thing, isn't it? It's know, for the parents looking at what to get the kids, and they're thinking, I can get away with not having to pay for all these games.
£12 a month for all that, plus a load of other stuff which we'll talk about in a minute.
It's good value for money, isn't it? Yeah. So just adding the EA Play in there, it's just an extra little perk, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to be honest, I unsubscribed from the EA Play probably a couple of years ago because I just wasn't playing anything on it. So it just wasn't worth keeping. Yeah. But as it's back, I'll probably just download a few things and play through. I've already done Jedi Fallen Order. You'll have fun playing that, mate, on your stream. That is a really, really good game. Absolutely loved it.
It's again, I admit I got it. I hadn't got Titanfall when because I've had my Xbox One over 5 years, and I think I literally got the subscription when I got it. So Titanfall was the first game I played on it. I'd already gone out and bought Titanfall 2 because it's an amazing game, frankly. So I didn't bother with that when it came on there. And there's a few other games, but you're right. I didn't really. There's not been loads. I think Battlefield 4 I played. A Way Out, but for me now it's kind of like a couple of Need for Speeds, but now it's kind of like that Star Wars game has made up for it, and I'm sure this time next year you will find that Star Wars Squadrons will end up on that.
Oh, definitely. Well, you've got a 10-hour trial of it already, see if you like it.
Yeah,
if you're patient, wait a year.
Okay.
Come on.
But PlayStation does have the VR.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, PlayStation's got the VR.
I bought it on PlayStation.
Yeah. Right, we'll cop on to another bit, another little news story. So, one of the things that Game Pass does do is the perk system. And I'll be honest, not many of those perks are really worth much. You get odd cosmetic items. For anyone who's not familiar with perks, it's like a system where if you've got Ultimate, you can gain extra stuff. Costumes for characters, so like on Sea of Thieves, Warframe, stuff like that. I managed to get like a free DLC for Overcooked 2, which is worth like £4, so that was a bonus. But literally, again, they did something quite... I think people were expecting a bit too much, because I've heard people criticising it, but I was like, again, what were you expecting was going to happen? Is they literally announced that you can get a 30-day free trial of Disney Plus as a perk, which you've got from now, or last week, until January, I believe, to take up on it. Now, for people like me who haven't got Disney Plus, I would literally use that to watch all 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. So I'm up to speed on it. But people were moaning, going, oh, there was going to be a big reveal. We thought you were going to get Disney Plus with it. Disney ain't that stupid. They're not going to do that.
No.
So, what do we... I mean, for me, a 30-day free trial, there's a bloody good chance if I do that, I'm probably going to end up subscribing to that just to watch all the Marvel films again for like the 100th time. So what do we think about that? Do we think it's a good little entice? Or would you be the sort of person like me that would go, watch 2 scenes of The Mandalorian, scrap, wait until they offer it again free of charge, and then watch for another 30 days?
What do you reckon, Dave?
I think it's a good little perk. 30 days, did you say, to watch that?
Yeah, 30 days.
Wait and start your subscription when Mandalorian Season 2 is finished.
Yes.
And then you've got it all there straight to binge. But yeah, plenty of good stuff on there. I've caught up with the Marvel films, so I've fallen way behind with those.
Yeah.
I'm more or less up to date now. I think I've just got Endgame to watch. Then I am up to date.
Okay. But you'll have that and the...
Binge through all the Star Wars ones on there as well recently.
Yeah.
Binge through all the Star Wars ones on there as well recently.
Nice. Okay.
I already subscribed to Disney Channel, so... yeah.
So there you go.
It doesn't mean anything to me, so...
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. If I hadn't, I would do what you said. I'd probably wait till December, subscribe over Christmas.
Yeah.
You've got all the Christmas movies to watch. Muppets Christmas Carol. I can beat it.
Like a wealth of things on there. Some forgotten classics on there. If you remember all the old Disney cartoons we used to watch when we were younger, all that stuff's on there as well.
Natural Geographic on there as well.
Yeah, all the Simpsons stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to get all the new Marvel shows as well, like WandaVision. They've announced that Samuel L. Jackson is going to have his show as
Oh, right. Okay.
Nick Fury. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff coming on there that should be really good. Cool. We'll move on. Chris, you've literally got about another 5 minutes with us. We'll move on to 2 little more game things, and then we'll talk the final thing. So if you can hang in with us for another 10 minutes or so,
yeah,
be awesome. A game that I actually went to Game Pass again immediately, and I actually started playing last night and saw this was announced. Love this. It was Tetris Effect. So a take on the classic game. It's been out on other platforms for quite a while, but they've added some new stuff to it, more multiplayer and more stuff. I think it was on Nintendo Switch over a year ago. But let's have a look at this. I was playing this last night. I absolutely adore it. I had no intentions of playing it, and then up it pops up and saying, "Oh, you can play this for free," and I absolutely love it. So let's play the trailer, and you can see how beautiful this game is. Again, this is courtesy of the Xbox channel.
Let's all we pray. Always okay. Moments of joy. Our words to enjoy. Always okay. Moments of joy.
So there you have it. Tetris Effect Connected. If you don't mind, I'll probably lead on this one because you guys play this at all?
Not played.
I've played Tetris Effect in VR. Haven't played the new connected
Go
one.
on then, talk about that first then. Go on. I'd like to hear about that.
Oh, the VR, it's very nice. So if you have got the option to play it in there, definitely give it a look because it just envelops you in all the visuals, all that sound. It's just quite something to behold.
It is a beautiful game. It's very simplistic, but how beautiful it is, especially because it's all on the build-up as you get further into it. So with the visuals, it starts really basic. So like the first level is like an underwater level, and then you start to see the fish and the jellyfish, and it gets bigger. And as that does, the music changes and it pounds. And I guess with VR, that's going to be even more like.
Oh yeah, as you say, you see more visual things come up, and you're just looking around, glancing, just seeing things coming past you. It is quite.
And not concentrating on what you're supposed to be doing.
That's it. It just distracts you. Get the shut the blocks out. Forget about the nice whale that's coming past. Sort the blocks out, damn it.
I think it's a wonderful take on obviously the original game, and there's loads of stuff on it. I played another mode of it today, which is like a puzzle game in a puzzle game where you've got a lot of the blocks already there. You've got to fit the right blocks into the slots to clear lines. Now that normally sounds like Tetris, but you're only getting one thing at a time. So if you make a mistake, you've got to restart from the beginning again. So it's not about stopping it from filling to the top. It's clearing each screen constantly. So there's all these different game modes. But the thing is, I'm playing it on a controller with the music and the beats. It builds up and there's like this motion that keeps going. And then as you can feel it. So there's like, again, in one of the levels, like there's this music and then someone starts singing because you've got so far through it. So it's like they're building layers of music on top of layers of visuals. But then you can feel it through the controller. So like there's a bit when they go da, 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 hey. So when they do the hey bit, it goes on the controller, and you're like wow. And then there's some levels where as you're moving the pieces, that is what's making the sound. So every level is very different in its surroundings. I'm very impressed with it, I have to say. So,
I have to give it a go. I mean, I played the Tetris 100 on the Switch, but obviously that's very different.
Yeah.
What we got. That's like the stripped down basic version against 100 other people. But yeah, this looks quite a sort of basically a beautiful game.
Yeah. it's worth checking out. Again, it's free on Game Pass. Literally came out a couple of days ago. I think came out Friday, I believe. So it's worth checking out. So yeah, do it. We'll move swiftly on. Now,
Give it a go.
It's worth giving a go. It's worth giving a go. We're going to move on to a game now. This is a game that's come under a lot of criticism. Weirdly, I think it's confused people. So there is a game called Bright Memory Infinite that is due out in 2021, which has literally been made by one person. Now, this is the game that we said was the only game that had actual gameplay footage at the actual Xbox press conference that they did. And it looked great. But what they've gone and done is they've ported over the original first couple of levels of the game from a PC version and brought it over to the Xbox. And it's come under some massive criticism. So I'm going to play the trailer and then we'll talk about why I'm now a little bit worried about the main game. So, this to me was the standout game for that launch lineup. And now I'm having second thoughts. This is courtesy of IGN, this trailer. So here we go.
Shelia, have you found anything?
Just a special ID card. Nothing else that I can see.
I advise you to stay out of this matter. Wake is as stubborn as you are. It's her! Don't let her get away.
Oh, shit!
Shelia, are you okay?
The situation isn't very good. Huh? What happened here?
So there we go. That is Bright Memory. It's a first-person shooter, also a bit of a hack and slasher. Bits of it remind me of Bioshock because you got certain powers. What's the shame is that's come out and it looks really poor compared to the gameplay trailer that came out for the Bright Memory Infinite, which is actually going to be the finished game. Why do you think they brought this out, which has just got really bad reviews, and I'm talking less than average? Look, across the board, the average is less than 5 out of 10. Saying how bad a shoot is, how bad it looks, how bad it plays. Why would you risk doing that? Because now it's put me off wanting to get the game that comes out next year.
Go on, Dave, you can answer this one.
We have to understand if there's any pressure to get it out there for people to play. Did you say it was showing off at the? It was like centre stage, wasn't it? Microsoft, one of Microsoft shows, all gameplay, all looking really nice. But as you say, there's just one person who's doing all the work on that.
It is. It's one person that's developed the whole game, which is amazing in itself.
Well, yeah. What I can see for one person is pretty impressive. But as we've seen from other games of similar type in the past, it can take bigger teams to just do all those separate bits. You know, the art, level design, programming, to get something good up to scratch. For one person to try and do that, quite an undertaking.
Yeah.
I can see why it would have trouble.
It's very strange that they've rushed out the first 2 levels, though. It's just...
Well, apparently they've been out for a while, and this was the thing, because apparently you could play it on PC over like a year ago or something.
Did it come out as like an early access build for the PC, perhaps?
Maybe that's the thing. And I think they've literally just ported it over. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Moonlight Rose has asked, saying, there's a little game coming out called Cyberpunk.
Never heard of it. Is there
a game? Is it? Hopefully it doesn't get it. What's your opinion on the game itself? Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We will do an in-depth review when it finally comes out in 2077. Because it's been delayed that much, it's probably... So we will promise you a review on that game. I know that I've got a copy landing on day of release.
I've got one on day of release coming.
Whenever that day of release is, of course.
We'll be streaming it.
So we'll meet up and talk about
discuss this. Yeah, we'll do this. We'll make this happen. So I won't make any comments on it now, but we will do that for you, Moonlight Rose. Okay, so that's that. We're going to come on to our final thing before Chris goes, and then me and Dave, we've got there's like another 4 games we're going to talk about after Chris goes. I think one of them is one that you actually are quite intrigued about, so I don't know whether I'll just basically get you to stay on for another half an hour just by playing that. One of that's
you got anything else to do, have you, Chris?
Yeah, I've got anything else to do.
I've got to have my dinner.
He's got to have his dinner. No, we'll let him have his dinner. But yeah, we're going to talk about the Falconer, Planet Coaster, Gears Tactics, and Fuser. Those are the other 4 games we're going to talk about that literally came out this week. But let's go to our final little conversation, and we'll let our guest go. We're going to talk about the whole Bethesda thing again. There was the whole big deal that Xbox, Microsoft have bought Bethesda, and PlayStation owners were like, "Oh no!" But then they kind of said, "No, we're not making Bethesda games exclusive. We're just buying them outright." But then there's been a bit of cloudy, like, what's going on with this, because no one really understands. Again, there was a thing where you could have seen it coming from a mile off. Soon as they announced that Bethesda was coming to, as part of Microsoft, Doom Eternal hit Game Pass. You know, it'd been out 6 months, but it literally hit it. And I think everyone pretty much called that, and that's a pretty cool thing. So what they've done this week, they've clarified what the situation is. So obviously Microsoft own Bethesda. They have stated that all the games that are in the back catalogue and what exists now and other games that they've got are not necessarily going to be just for Xbox. They are still going to do cross-party games. Now, they have got a game coming out just for PlayStation 5, which is Deathloop. But that was already announced well before them Microsoft taking over Bethesda, and I think that's going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. What they have said is a lot of the games that come to Game Pass is Bethesda games will come to Xbox on the day release, and you might find that some games will come out on PlayStation later. So there might be either like a month gap, a couple of months gap, but you're actually going to be at a disadvantage for some games, not all games. And they may develop some smaller titles that would be Microsoft only. So that does make some people feel better, because if they love games like Doom, Fallout, etc., if there's going to be more, there might be another Wolfenstein game, for instance. That means games that are further down the pipeline, the next Skyrim and what have you, they're not going to miss out. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? And do you think this makes this all clear now, what they've announced this week?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to cut your nose off to spite your face, do you? I mean, that's a big market to just say, let's not do PlayStation games. You can't do that. It's just silly. Yeah. But the thing maybe like letting the Xbox owners have it a little bit earlier sounds fair.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Dave?
As you say, if it's going to come to Game Pass, then you get the nice Elder Scrolls, and it comes out Starfield, next Doom. Let's come to Game Pass day one. It's going to look pretty good, isn't it, for the Xbox console? Get a lot of people interested in going for that console instead of the PlayStation, where you've got to pay the 50, 60 quid to buy the game.
Yeah.
You just get an Xbox subscription for 12 quid a month, as you said it was, and you get that there day and date. Plus, you can stream it to the devices as well. So if you're playing Elder Scrolls on your phone, sitting on the loo, can't do that with your PlayStation.
Will it be coming to Game Pass the games?
Well, this is the thing. They've said that a lot of the new games will come to Game Pass straight away. They haven't said about past games. There are a couple of games on there. Now, what Game Pass generally tends to do is they have a lot of AAA games on there. Anything that is a Microsoft exclusive, things like your Forza, State of Decay, etc., will, like Sunset Overdrive, for instance, will stay on there until Game Pass explodes and is no more. Will just stay there. But you get other big third-party titles that come in and then go out. So we've seen Ubisoft games come in. We've seen I just like things like the Tomb Raider games that come in, but then after about 6 months they go again. I think that what they might do is you might see some of the back catalogue. So your Fallouts, Skyrims will start to come in and probably be a permanent fixture of that catalogue.
Yeah.
They haven't said that's the case, but I would thought that would make sense, because people who might go, oh, I love the Fallout games and I never played Fallout 3, for instance. I can get that now.
Yeah.
And I can play it. Or Fallout New Vegas, for instance.
Well, I mean, just getting it on Game Pass on the day of release alone, that's got to be a big enough draw, isn't it? I mean, whether they say it to PlayStation owners or not, it doesn't really matter. It's the initial draw, isn't it?
Yeah, that's very true. Any final thoughts on that before we say thank you to our guests this evening?
Nope.
That's nice and easy then. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being our very first guest on our
No,
chat
you're
show.
very much welcome.
And we shall see you on the seas tomorrow night if we haven't completely ruined your sleep pattern.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. Captain Chris will be back.
Check us out. Check us out, Dave, Chris, myself, Wednesday nights on Sea of Thieves. We are there from 9 o'clock till about midnight-ish, depending.
Usually we go up
how
to
badly
midnight,
we
don't
do.
we?
Yeah,
Unless you
sometimes
get
depends
raided.
how well we're doing, or if we get completely owned, like on some of the streams that are on YouTube. But there you go, Chris. Thank you so much. I will let you leave the stream now, and take care. We'll see you soon, and thanks for being our guest this week.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Good
Bye.
night, Chris. Bye-bye.
So there you go. That was our first guest, which is awesome, and we'll have many more guests each week. If you would like to be, if you're in the chat, you would like to be a guest, and you'd like to come in, let us know. Message us. We're up for. We've got a long list. I've actually got like the next. Dave doesn't know this. I've got like the next 15 weeks of guests already planned out, which is a bit insane. Wow. And some of them are just like gamers like us, who are just going to jump in, and some of them are actually industry professionals, which is quite cool. So I've managed to rope in some people, but I won't spoil anything. So we will crack on, Dave. I reckon we can get this nailed in the next half an hour and be done. So I think what
Okay,
we'll do,
mate.
we'll blast through the last couple of game trailers. I'll do the next 4. Then we'll talk about our last news story, which is probably like the worst news story. Not as in it's poor reporting, it's just not good news for people who haven't got Xboxes. And then we'll just quickly blast through what other stuff has come out this week. There won't be any trailers, because otherwise we'll be here until 3 o'clock in the morning. When we'll talk about a few games that also have basically been updated. So they're not new games, but they have been put on to the console. So we're going to jump to another game now. This is called the Falconer. I don't, again, know much about this. Again, this looks like quite a beautiful game. So we will jump to that and have a look at the trailer for this. So here we go. Again, this is courtesy of the Xbox channel, so thank you to them for this trailer.
From the clouds they dive, the screams of battle in their lungs. They find each other in the dark embrace of the cold sea.
So there you go. That's the Falconer. Again, didn't know much about this. This has come out on Xbox and PC at the same time. I think it is pretty much an Xbox exclusive, I believe. Again, if I've got that wrong, please do tell me. But it seems like a typical kind of first-person shooter, but the whole thing is that you are like a falcon.
I mean, look at the trailer. It kind of reminded me a bit of the older Panzer Dragoon games, just the sort of way it looked. Whether it plays like that, I don't know. I have to have a look and give it a go, perhaps.
Yeah, I've not seen any reviews for this yet. I think it literally came out at the weekend. But there seemed to be a lot of hype around it. If it does play as fluid as those games, I think it could be a good game. I like my shooters that are different. If anyone else has played this and they're in the chat, let us know. Be interested to check it out. So yeah, we'll move on, I think, because that's a game, I'll be honest, I didn't do much homework on. You know, I only had so much time to put this show together. But the next game, and unfortunately, Chris is now gone, and I knew he was really happy about this. Next game is Planet Coaster. Now, technically, this isn't a new game. It came out over 5 years ago on the PC. But basically, anyone who remembers back in the days of Theme Park, this is a very similar game to Theme Park. So it's basically what would you call it? A simulator, a theme park simulator. Is that the best way to describe this? Where you basically have to make all the decisions and make it work. So let's check this trailer out. So there you go. That is Planet Coaster. Funnily enough, Chris may have left us as a guest, but he's still here in spirit because he's typing in the chat. As I say, this is pretty much a successor to Theme Park, for anyone who's familiar with it. They did this a while ago, a couple of years ago, where they brought out 2 Point Hospital to PC, and then literally it came out, I think, at the start of this year on Xbox, and it is almost like how Theme Hospital should have been. This seems very much like that. It looks great fun. I'm not sure why the trailer says contains crude humour though, because it seemed quite family friendly. That I didn't get that, but
maybe if you put too much salt on the chips, it'll make them sick or something like that. Or they get sick. Maybe they'll get sick of the roller coasters.
But didn't see any of that.
Too crude for the trailer there.
Yeah. So I know you had fond memories of playing Theme Park.
Oh, I think I wasted hours on that game back in the day. It's just great fun, wasn't it? Just build your park, get it all set up. It just sounds like this one's taking it to the next level, especially if you get to try out the roller coasters, as Chris has mentioned in the chat.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
It's just using the new tech, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, because I know you could in Theme Park you could go on the rides, but it was set kind of videos. So if you went on the roller coaster, even if you built a roller coaster, it was the same video of that roller coaster. Or you go on the swings, it was the same video of that. This is, I get the feeling, if you build this, you actually go on the ride that you've built. So it will do the twists and turns and everything that you've done. which seems very cool indeed. Again, out on Game Pass. Came out on PS. I think it's out on PS5 as well. But PC players got this 5 years ago. So yeah, so Chris says, yeah, that's right. You can literally, however you build the rides, you can go on it. So I'd definitely give this a whirl. Should we move on? Our next one. Let's go for this is a game that our next one. This is the third of the four final games we're talking about. This I actually streamed last week, the day after it came out. This is came out on Xbox. Again, this is a game that came out on PC first about 6 months ago. Gears Tactics. So I did a stream of this this time last week, actually, Tuesday last week. Let's get a look at this trailer. The funny thing about this trailer is when you play the game, they start the game off with the trailer. And I'm almost like, why would you do that when you already just got the game? Which I always found a bit weird, but here we go.
Just like we planned it.
Good work, Jack.
Join the party.
Well, if you insist.
Summon the beast.
Holy.
We're done here.
So that is actually a prequel to Gears of War. But it's a very different Gears game because it is a turn-based strategy game. Basically, imagine XCOM, but as Gears of War. And that's what you've got. I know this got great reviews when it came out on PC about 6 months ago. And now it officially came out Monday last week on the Xbox. Is this something that would appeal to you, being a bit of a Gears fan, Dave?
I'd definitely have a look at this. It looks like a bit of a change of pace as well. But I suppose if perhaps you've bounced off the normal Gears games, you're not a fan of the third-person cover shooters. There's a bit of a different style to it, isn't it? Turn-based, take your time in it, plan it, a bit of strategy.
Yeah. I think this is where
An interesting one.
Yeah, this might be where it kind of gets two lots of fans in. I think the Gears fans are going to go for it because it's a Gears game. Yes, it is a different pace. I really enjoyed playing it. I played it for about 2 hours on the stream. Got in through a couple of levels. It's got a decent story there, like most Gears games have. But the combat felt good in the way that you do the turn-based. It was all quite fluid. See, I've never played anything like XCOM, and people compare this to XCOM, so this might move me over to trying XCOM. So Gears fans might try XCOM, and XCOM fans might try this, which might get them into Gears. You know, there might be like this joining of people from two games that might not normally play those type of games. Possibly, I don't know.
I think it could do, couldn't it? Sometimes you might not go for a particular type of game. You look at the style of, say, XCOM, for example, it just doesn't look like it's for you. But when they bring in like characters, graphics, gameplay of something you're more familiar with, you might think, oh, okay, I'll have a look at that then.
I think they've chucked in the added bonus as well. I noticed with the version, and it makes more sense watching a trailer now. It was like you've got Classic Edition and Jack Edition, and I was like, well, what's that? Well, what they brought is Jack, the character, into the game, and you can play with Jack in certain levels, which adds a new bit of strategy to it. And I did my playthrough with one of the levels with Jack in it, which was quite good because I always got him to go and hunt round and open up all the loot boxes while I sent my guys and girls out to do all the attacking, rather than trying to send someone out and have one crew member down. So it did add a different kind of strategy to the game.
Cool. So how does it play with a controller? Because I'm used to these type of games with mouse and keyboard on the PC.
I felt it was quite easy. It almost like your thumbsticks used like a mouse, and you had like the buttons told you what it did. So if you need to move your character to that area in cover, you just do that. Click on the button and the guy runs there. If you're going to attack someone, you highlight them, press the X button or whatever button it was, shoot straight away. It seemed really easy to use compared to, say, something like, I know there's big fans of games like the Wasteland series, Wasteland 3. I tried that a while back. I couldn't get around because it was too finicky on a controller. It really put me off, that game, even though I know loads of people love that game and swear by it. But it did put me off, where I found this really easy to pick up and just start playing straight away.
Cool. Sounds good, mate.
Cool. Right, we'll get to our final game that's got a trailer. So, ever fancied being a superstar DJ, Dave?
No.
Good. Me neither. So this might be a really easy game to talk about. This is Fuser, which is basically you remember the good old days of Guitar Hero and Rock Band, all those games. They have basically done that, but with DJs. So we are going to watch this trailer. This again, courtesy of the Xbox channel. So here we go.
Some better sounds no one's ever heard. I wish I had a better voice to sing some better words. I wish I found some chords in an order that is new. I wish I didn't have to rhyme every time I sang. Feel the thunder, lightning, the thunder, feel the thunder, lightning, the thunder. Me and you, girl, you and me. Drop it to the floor and let me see your energy because me not play no hide and seek. Walk into the thing you wanna make me feel real, girl. Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out. I know you got a bill to have fun tonight. Baby, I know you got a bill to have fun tonight.
So there you go. That is Fuser. So it's kind of nicking elements from things like Guitar Hero, Rock Band, but then also you think about these games like Dance Central. What's the other big one that's like on Nintendo and PlayStation still? Dance Central's the Microsoft one. What's the other one I'm trying to think of? That's gone out of my head, and they bring it out every year.
No, I can't think of it either. That'll have to be a Google question, I think, that one.
Yeah, if you know it, put it in the chat. I actually watched people doing a demo for the Nintendo Switch at a gaming show last year, and it's gone out of my head. But they keep adding lots of songs to it. So I get the feeling there's the element of you've got a mix of songs and the skills, but you could probably, DLC is technically buying more tracks, I guess, into the game. But then there was weird things like their advertising campaign was like, anyone can be a DJ, which I get. But then they had people like David Hasselhoff doing the advert going, I'm a DJ, and I'm like, is that selling the game or is that putting people off? I don't know. Or is it just
because
you
still like the Hoff, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the Hoff. Or do you want to be the Hoff? I don't know if he's in the game or not. I know he's been plugging it. But it's got that sort of comical element to it. You know, the graphics aren't the main selling point for a next-gen game. It doesn't look like a next-gen game, but neither did any of the Guitar Heroes or Rock Bands. It was more about the actual gameplay and playing along and doing that. Or things like SingStar. That was always a thing, wasn't it? SingStar, you'd sing along. It's like a version of karaoke. And you'd download more tracks. So there's always a market for this stuff. I actually thought there was a game like this before from the same people, Activision. They did Rock Band. I thought they'd done a DJ version, but
I think you're right. I think there was something where you did get some decks as controllers. Yeah. I can't think of the title either off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Again, if anyone in the chat knows, let us know. But yeah. I'm pretty sure there was some.
I got a feeling that didn't sell very well compared to their other titles. But it'd be interesting to see how this does, because I get the feeling you don't need a physical item like a set of decks or a guitar or that drum thing you had in Rock Band, you can do it all on the PlayStation and Xbox, etc. You just mix the tracks down, you pick what you want and you time it, and obviously then you get the crowd's reaction depending on how well or how badly you do it. It's probably a good party game as well, I guess. If you've got multiplayer, you can get people in and they can drop tracks in. So it's probably a family-orientated game. It's probably not something I'm going to pick up, I'll be honest. I don't know about you, Dave. You ain't got, as you said, you don't got aspirations.
I've always tended to bounce off those sort of rhythm action games.
Yeah.
Never been a fan. Unless they're in VR. I play Pistol and Beat Saber in VR.
Yeah.
They're just very good in that. But everything
Beat
else.
Saber looks amazing, I have to say.
Oh, it's awesome in VR, mate.
I definitely. There's certain games that they'd pull off. I don't know whether doing the DJ thing in VR would be good. I don't know, but there you go. That was Fuser. We're going to go on to like our last news story, and then we'll just do a quick roundup because we're fastly approaching near the end of the show. Dave's probably thinking, "Thank God," because what have I let myself in for this? So here we go. So we're going to talk about. This is like a bad news story, unfortunately. I didn't deliberately try to put this in, but it's mostly. Obviously, there's a lot of people. I saw in the chat, the Spear put, he's still waiting for his Series X to be delivered. I've seen a lot of people who didn't get them on time. There's a lot of people that tried to buy them on the Tuesday last week, getting up for the pre-orders like that, or people who didn't get the original pre-order. There's a lot of disappointed people that have not managed to get the Series X. And you go on most sites, whether it be Argos, Game, whoever, and they basically went, we haven't got any stock, but if you want to be added to a list, we'll contact you as we get new stock in. They've just announced this week that we may be waiting even longer because there's going to be such a backlog for the Series X because of the huge demand. They may not be able to meet demand until at least start of spring 2021. Now, we're not talking March, we're talking basically the end of the first quarter, so we're coming into April. That seems pretty shocking. Now, I understand with obviously the whole global pandemic thing is probably causing an issue. But again, do you think if PlayStation can have been clever and sorted out the demands, do you think this is what will give PlayStation the edge in terms of sales, assuming they don't mess up like Microsoft possibly have?
I'd be surprised they didn't fall into the same problem, to be honest. It's there's that many people who want these things. They can only make so many at a time. They'll launch these things out to like every country.
Yeah.
There's always going to be delays. I'm sure it happened with the last console releases.
It did, but I think
it's usually
more
delays,
for PlayStation. It was more for PlayStation than Xbox because obviously everyone knew that PlayStation totally outsold the Xbox One.
No one wanted the Xbox One, did they?
No,
So it's plenty on the shelves.
Like a burning heap of garbage for 6 months until they backtracked on everything, and then it started to become a decent console.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what they've generally said, the gaming press have said, these are very odd times for us, but for the gaming industry, it's hit a peak. So actually, there's probably going to be shifting more units of consoles than ever before, because it's not just a console, is it now? They're like almost home entertainment systems because you can watch your Netflix, your Disney Plus. You can tie other accounts to it. You watch all your YouTube channels on it. You know, you can do what we're doing here on Twitch. You can watch your Twitch and play games, put your Blu-rays in, download films and God knows what else. So it's not just about gaming anymore. It makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Oh, it certainly does, mate.
Okay. So do we think Microsoft will be able to bounce back from this? Or do you think it's just a case of let's see what happens over the next couple of months?
Oh, I think they'll bounce back. I mean, it's a good console. So people are going to be happy when they eventually get their hands on it. And I think as well, the thing to bear in mind, because there's not much in the way of console exclusives at the moment, especially on the Xbox side, nothing's really exclusive to the Series X or S.
Yeah.
So you're still going to be able to play the same things on the your One X or your original Xbox One.
Yeah.
So you're not really going to be missing out. PlayStation side, similar. Some of the games that we originally thought were going to be exclusive to the 5, like the Spider-Man Miles Morales and the next Horizon game, they're coming on the PS4.
Yeah.
And so by the time anything really exclusive is going to be coming out, it's only on those new consoles. So I reckon stocks will be back to normal.
Yeah.
Plus there might be some good bundles. You might get better value for your money at that point.
That's true. I think any major exclusives for both ones will probably turn out in spring next year for both consoles. And as you say, like, this is something we didn't really talk about much when we were saying about the pros of the Xbox. Look at Cyberpunk. The smart delivery thing, you buy one copy of it. When you get your new console, if you haven't already got it, by the time Cyberpunk comes out, it'll just transfer over with your saved data. It'll just run and play 5 times better, 10 times better than the other stuff. But for people who haven't, still run with your Xbox One or your One X or your One S or whatever it's you got. It's still going to see you through for another couple of years. So, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'm just going to do a quick roundup of other games that have come out. Now, these are not necessarily new games. This is why I'm not going to give them as much attention. We'll just give them a shout out. There's a lot of games that are being, which is interesting, the ones that aren't being put on smart delivery, they're doing brand new versions now. Some of them I kind of think, yeah, that's a good idea, and there's some that I think they're just basically cashing in on this. We'll talk about more of these as they come out. There is one that I'm a little bit annoyed about, but I'm not going to bring that up because it hasn't come out yet for the Xbox One. But this week, there's been 4 kind of optimised games that have come out. One is the Overcooked All You Can Eat, which is basically both Overcooked games with all the DLCs chucked in, which to me, if you haven't got them before, that's a good deal. So if you love the Overcooked games, I think that's great. We've played them before, haven't we, Dave? We've played.
Oh, we've had great fun on them, haven't we, mate?
Yeah, I love them. So I mean,
absolutely crazy.
Overcooked 2, we've only played a little bit of, haven't we? Tiny bit. We played more of the first one than the second one. But I mean, again, if someone didn't have them and it was definitely something they'd wanted, I think that's good. But then this is where you're going to see where other games, I don't really see the point. Devil May Cry 5 came out about 2.5 years ago. They're bringing out a special edition. They're just adding a new character to it, and that's it. It's practically the same game, just optimised. So people who've already got Devil May Cry 5 won't be able to play that. They've got to buy this new edition. Again, I'm not knocking the game. I'm just saying, it's one of those things. Warhammer, Chaos Bain is another one that they've optimised. That's been on. Hi, Mia. Yes, we're still going. We've probably got about, 5-10 minutes left of the show, I think. And then NBA 2K21. I'm not a big basketball fan, but they've optimised that as well. But again, if you've already bought that, you're now going to have to buy a new copy of that. So what do we think that's a bit of a... If they're adding more value for you to buy the game, incentives to say like the Overcooked game, to me that seems like good value. But to get a game that you might have just bought and you're not getting anything new for it and you can't cross it over, do we think that's just a bit of a cash-in?
It does feel like it, doesn't it? Especially when you've got the other companies who are just doing, as you say, just the upgrades, just with smart delivery and no extra cost.
Yeah.
You kind of think that some of these companies are still working in the past. Because they used to do that. That was the only real option.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might give you like a cheaper upgrade path. Probably if you had like a digital copy, you could pay like 10, 20 quid to go up to the next gen version.
Yeah.
But again, that still feels a bit old fashioned now, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to mention the game I wasn't going to mention just because it kind of proves a point. It came out last year and it won many Golden Joystick Awards. And it's been a firm favourite game of mine this year, which is Control. Yeah. Annoyingly, I started streaming after I finished Control completely with all the DLCs and everything. And the last DLC came out, I think, September time. And I completed that. Loved the game to bits. I think there's going to be a sequel, which would be great. What annoyed me is about 6 weeks ago, they announced that they're doing a optimised version of Control with both DLCs for the new Xbox. But if you've got the original version, it won't play on the new Xbox. You have to buy a brand new copy. Which, if I'd known that, I wouldn't have bought that earlier this year. I mean, I'm glad I did, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the game. But to me, that's really... I can see it from both sides. People who might have been like, because Control has had more hype this year as a game than it did in its year of release. So people might have still not bought it and gone, I've seen all the DLCs and that. I will buy that. Great. If you've never played it before, that's fantastic. But for people like me who might go, do you know what? I'll go back and play bits of that because there's little bits I haven't finished, little side missions. you're not going to be able to do that on your new console.
You can play it on the new ones, but it won't do any visual upgrades. So it's the same on the PlayStation side. You can play it; it will run in back compat mode.
Yeah,
but you've got to buy the Ultimate Edition for the fancy graphics, the ray tracing and stuff like that.
But that's assuming they allow for it to be back compat, because, like we saw with 360 to Xbox One, there were certain games that came out as definitive editions. So they never were backwards compatibility. They were brand new versions, like the Tomb Raider, which came out on the Xbox 360, then came out as a separate version that you would buy for the Xbox One, and things like Sleeping Dogs. That was a fantastic game. You can get that on backwards compatibility, but when Xbox One came out, for the first 2 years, you had to buy a new version. So Control might go backwards compat, but at the moment they're saying that's not going to happen. If you want to play it, you've got to buy this new version. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Companies have got to make money. You know, that's what they're there for. And they make brilliant games.
We'd love it all for free, wouldn't we?
We would, because I'm a
That'd be the
cheapskate.
best.
But there's things where you kind of go, why would I buy this again if it's not giving me anything extra? Now, granted, the one with Control, you get the 2 DLCs free. Now, that's probably about 30 quid's worth of content, I think. I bought the 2 DLCs separately. I think they were about, on if you paid the right price for them, they're about 15 quid each. But, there you go. Couple of other little games, just going to quickly mention, you might want to check out for anyone. These all came out this week. There's a funny little, what I call an 8-bit game called Unturned, which is a funny little pixelated game where you control little characters where there's zombie hordes. But it's all done in a comical way. So, like, you can be a cowboy or a chef. So you hit the zombies with your frying pan. So you think of Dead Rising, but a lot less serious in a cartoon fashion. That's worth checking out. Kingdom Hearts have released a rhythm action game. Again, I've never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games, but, if you're into rhythm action and you love the Kingdom Hearts franchise, you might love this. Another sports game, Handball 21. I didn't even know handball was a sport. I'm guessing it's a bit like dodgeball. I've probably just offended a load of people who play handball in the community. But they've done a game which is a bit like NHL, NBA 2K21, FIFA. It's a sports game, but all based around handball. And an interesting one, 13, which has been... This is not technically not a new game. This came out back in the day when the PlayStation 2 was around. Was based on a graphic novel, was a first-person shooter. I loved it on the PlayStation 2. And saw it was coming out for release. Didn't know it was coming out this week. It's come out to literally no fanfare. I've only seen one review, and they absolutely slated it. Which is worrying, because that was a game that was like, oh, I loved it on PlayStation 2. They've redone all the graphics, they've rejigged it. There's even new bits to it. So I was like, oh, I might give that a try, but now I'm a bit like, not if it's... And normally games that don't get a fanfare worry me. Because kind of like, we'll just push that out and then...
That looks like what it is. That they've tried to apologise for the way it's turned out. But you're kind of thinking, well, yeah, they've tried to apologise. And you're thinking, well, you wouldn't have pushed it out like that, would you? No way. If you're going to apologise for it, you must have known he's in a bad state. Because, yeah, the graphics have been criticised because it doesn't look like that cel-shaded effects anymore.
No,
not quite like that. It's full of bugs.
Oh,
poor AI in it. It just, it's out in a bad state.
Yeah.
Probably need another 6 months, a year, maybe longer to get into a good playable state.
It's funny
They
because
expect people to pay money for it.
Well, this is the thing. There wasn't much fanfare about it. It appeared in the Xbox games coming soon a couple of months ago, and I was like, great. The way they had it lined up, it looked like it was going to... Because they try and put the games in order. It doesn't give you a set date. But where it was positioned, it was after Cyberpunk, but before Fallout 6. So you're thinking, right, so it's going to be sometime between December and February it's coming out. And it's just come out this week. So no fanfare. So maybe they should have given it that extra time.
Trying to slip out into the Christmas rush. We hope to get some extra sales for it, and it's no.
I don't think they're
going
going to get
for
them if they're going to think going by these comments. So there you go. So that's our rundown of games. There's a whole heap of games. Just to give you a catch up, we've talked about Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Yakauza Like a Dragon, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Destiny 2 Beyond Light, Tetris Effect Connected, Bright Memory, The Falconer, Planet Coaster, Gears Tactics, Fuser, and there's a few other games we mentioned there. Overcooked All You Can Eat, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Warhammer Chaos Bane, NBA 2K21, Optimized Edition, Unturned, Kingdom Hearts 13, and Handball 21. We are going to finish off with a segment which we're going to try and do every week, and I might try and get Dave to do this next week if I can entice Dave to come back as my co-host. And we're going to find amusing videos that have been released for trailers. So it can be something serious, something funny, or it can be something you just go, that looks cool. They announced quite a while ago that Mortal Kombat 11 has been doing lots of expansion packs. And the most recent one is going to have Rambo in it. John Rambo, the iconic figure. Now, they released literally yesterday a couple of gameplay videos. And there's two. And I was torn between which one to go for. All I'm going to say is I went for the one, as silly as this sounds, I went for the one that I thought was more realistic. Knowing that Mortal Kombat 11 is not realistic, but I'll explain myself after it. So it's going to be the Terminator versus Rambo. So I'll play this and then we'll talk about this. I've watched this a couple of times and it's made me giggle. Anyone who's squeamish will probably not want to watch this. But here we go. This is courtesy of IGN. They literally put this out live yesterday. So here we go.
I have found you again.
Never stop pushing, do you?
I must achieve your termination.
Fight!
Get over here.
Finish him. Fatality. The Terminator wins.
There you go. That is our video of the week. And the reason I say was the most realistic is the other one is that Rambo actually beats the Terminator. And the way he does it, I don't think... It is quite cool. He manages to blow him in half and you just see the endoskeleton. It doesn't look... But realistically, the Terminator would kill John Rambo. And the way he does it is so cool. I thought I'd go for that one. The one thing I did like was the fact that it's actually Sylvester Stallone's voice, which is really cool for Rambo, whereas it's not actually Arnie's voice for the Terminator. It's quite a dodgy impersonation, I think. But the Terminator looks good. And I believe with that new pack, they're bringing in the Terminator that you know from Terminator 2 as well. So you can have the different style of Terminators. So he doesn't look like the one from the last film that I don't think anybody bothered watching, unfortunately. Hence why it was such an epic fail at the box office. But I just thought that looked really, really cool as a video. So if anyone's got any suggestions, Mia said that looks epic. I think it does. I just thought it was really good. And all the little things with the gutting with the knives and sticking the things through. Yeah, it really, really cool. If anyone's got suggestions for videos that they've caught of either little trailers or funny bits of gameplay or anything quite funny or humorous that you think would be good to end the show with, we're open for your suggestions. Dave, what did you think of that?
Just ridiculous and over the top, wasn't it? Fantastic.
Great violence. Beautiful,
Oh,
really. Great way to end the show. So, ladies and gents, that is it. We've pretty much covered everything. We finished early. We're finishing 8 minutes early. Dave's probably thinking, thank God for that, I can go to bed.
Straight to bed.
Straight to bed, yeah. He's not like me. I'll probably stay up for like another 12 hours. That is it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to everyone that's been in the chat, everyone who's commented, everyone who's viewed us over the last hour and 50 whatever minutes we've been on. Thank you so much to Chris Davis, who has been our guest this week. Again, if you would like to be a guest on the show, let us know. We have actually, believe it or not, got a waiting list. I don't know how we've managed to do that. We have got a waiting list. Let us know. We are doing this live every Tuesday, at 9 o'clock on Twitch, and then there will be a catch-up show, which will be heavily edited down on YouTube a couple of days later. So thank you to all. Also, big shout out to Crusader. He is 50 followers on the channel, on his Twitch channel, right before, or a couple of hours before we went live on this, and then he raided our channel. Very much big respect to you. John, hello, you've just joined us. We are literally just about to finish our show. Please do watch us on Catch Up. And a big, big thank you again to my co-host this evening, Mr. David Jones. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me, mate.
And thank you to everyone. And we will sign off. I hope this has been a success. If you've got ideas for this show that we're doing, how to improve it, tell us how great we are, tell us how much we suck. I don't care. Any feedback is appreciated. Yeah, sorry, Gerard. We'll catch you soon. Thank you. But yeah, that would be greatly appreciated, any feedback. So thank you to all the viewers. And I will say have a great night wherever you are, or good morning, good afternoon. And we will catch you very, very soon. Take care.